Unseen and unprotected, Indigenous tribes in Alaska believe they could lose the land they live on and survive on at any time because of outdated laws. And as Alexa Liacko found out, these tribes believe it is a clear example of systemic racism.
In a place where mountains are the only skyscrapers and the road to get home can't be found on GPS, you'll find the tribal ways that have survived for thousands of years.
We don't have to go to the local market. We go out in the woods, and everything we take, we do it with respect, utmost respect.
Chief P.J. Simon grew up in a small Alaskan village and was taught to live off the land.
This is kind of a rare marten. Always think about how we're gonna catch our next meal. We plan it out. We go by the oral traditions of our elders.
But Simon remembers the day that way of life began to change.
The Great White Father came in and said, "That's not your land anymore." And I remember going home, I looked up at my dad, I was like, what do they mean? He said, well, time will tell.
Since then, the U.S. government has gone back and forth. Prior to 1971, tribe members were free to hunt and fish as much as they wanted on tribal lands. But then Congress passed a law that said the tribes no longer owned the land and couldn't hunt and fish as they pleased. Then, in an attempt to correct what was widely viewed as a mistake, Congress allowed tribes to hunt and fish on some, but not all, lands.
That promise was not kept.
Natasha Singh is an attorney fighting to expand tribal rights. She says Congress needs to change these decades-old laws.
The actual language is not protection of Alaskan Native hunting and fishing rights or authority for tribes to manage hunting and fishing resources.
The world's changed. Now you have to almost have a lawyer to go out hunting. The renewable resources that we try to harvest.
Simon says the confusing rules force him and many others to break the law just to eat.
Even I, as an urban Alaska native now, I love to hunt and fish and feed my people at home. I can't go back by the book and hunt, but I do anyway, and pass out food.
It's food he uses to feed his own family, too.
Here we've got grizzly bear.
But each time he hunts, he worries he'll face fines or charges. A few months ago, another tribal member strayed off federal land and was criminally charged when he hunted to feed his family.
We are so left out of everything, politicized by lawyers, by lobbyists, by people who don't understand our ways and want to put more restrictions.
The fact that these governments listen to non-native people, the environmentalists, the state of Alaska, the urban hunters, and don't listen to tribal leaders demonstrates racism, I believe. Systemic racism.
Now, years after this all began, the tribes are finally getting the resources to legally advocate for themselves.
We're no different than a developing country like Haiti. I always say at least it's warm there.
We are asking America to wake up, take a look at what's happening in Alaska. Tribal communities are trying to protect their land so their people, our people, can continue their way of life.
And they hope with some help, these ways will not be watered down, but will be lifted up for generations to come. For The Race, I'm Alexa Liacko.
The Race continues next.